Hey everybody, it's Mike Sullivan with Born to Shine. Today we have an awesome guest. His name is Stephen Books, and he is the superintendent over at Malta Public Schools in Malta, Montana. And Stephen, thank you, man, for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Now, you've been a superintendent for quite a while, right? How many years have you been a?
I've been a superintendent. This is my sixth year as a superintendent. I
Yeah.
was I had South Dakota experience prior to, so
Oh, cool. Well, so you have a lot of people looking up to you, Stephen, for your leadership, your guidance, and what was your journey like to become a superintendent?
well, ironically, I had never intended to be a superintendent, much less even a principal. I was gonna, go off and be a assistant principal somewhere, deal with athletics, the behavior, things like that. And that was back in Minnesota. Um, so I married this very persistent blonde lady. Um, and when I went to go get my certification to be a principal, she said, "No, we're gonna go do this. You're gonna do this." So I was like, "Okay, so we're gonna go do this." So I put my feelers out as far as getting a principal gig and looked around several places, states, etc. Ended up in South Dakota.
Hmm.
And I became an elementary principal, which was an awesome job. And then with some difficulties with the district, I was then asked after just shy of 2 years, about 2 years, to be the superintendent.
Hmm.
So that's how I got into becoming a superintendent. I again, I was not not intending to do that. Like everybody I talked to is like, "Hey, you want to be a super?" I'm like, "No, no," and here I am.
There
So,
you
but
are.
I blame, or I'm appreciative, I should say, of my wife because she pushed me to take that step. So I think it really stemmed from my desire for growth and improvement. I wanted something more.
Hmm.
So I did the master's stuff when I was in Minnesota. I did my master's degree and it wasn't quite fulfilling, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
There was something missing and I wanted something more. And I was really into like Tony Robbins,
Hmm.
John Maxwell. Uh, those things were huge in my interests, I guess. And I later am now certified with the John Maxwell Leadership Organization. So that's how I got here.
So cool. You know, it's awesome, Stephen, that, okay, Minnesota and then South Dakota, and your wife saw something in you that she knew was in you and encouraged you, and now you're the soup. You know,
Yep.
that's so cool. It's amazing how sometimes someone else can see that light that's inside of us, right? And they see it so bright. They're like, I already see it in you. You've got
Yeah.
this. You know,
Yeah.
so
No,
it's
I
cool.
appreciate that.
Sometimes we need someone else to pull
We're,
it out of
we're
us.
very critical of ourselves, aren't we? And
Absolutely.
that I would say has been always been my issue. I've always been critical or don't see the value that I have. And many people are like that. That's not
Oh, me
a
too. Yeah.
problem to just me, it's everybody. But
Right.
um I guess that's kind of the message that I want to instill as I progress through this world, this life, I guess. So
Absolutely. That you have value. You matter. You're important. Your life matters. And you have something unique that no one else can offer. That's
yep.
absolutely 100% with you on that. And then, when you were K-12, was there anything that you struggled with? Because for me, it was a whole lot of anxiety
As
and,
a student, you mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
as a student, when you
Um,
were K-12.
School was not easy for me.
Hmm.
Uh, I can recall uh, sitting at the kitchen table with mom or dad and struggling through work from elementary, through my middle school years. So school was not fun. Um, it was very difficult. But later on, when I would say maybe a freshman, sophomore. I don't, the years, when I get to my age, the years kind of blend. So, but early in high school, my sister really was struggling in college.
Mm,
Um, and I was continuing to struggle in school. And basically, my parents went out and got us tested, and we found out that we were dyslexic.
mm,
So both my sister and myself are dyslexic learners, if you will. And my dad, ironically, after we were tested, he went and got himself tested just to kind of, see, he always struggled as well. And he turned out he was dyslexic as well.
mm.
So, we just kind of, and I've got my own children have various issues. I think my youngest is probably struggling with dyslexia, or a hybrid, if you will, of that. So the conversation of dyslexia is near and dear to my heart because I have the personal struggle. And I think through my career, um, I always was drawn to the students that struggled, not necessarily always the emotional struggles, but just in school in general didn't had difficulties. And I was always, willing to be the teacher that did the remedial classes for math or reading, or when I was an elementary teacher. So that's something that's kind of important to me, and kind of, you know, how I progressed to where I am now.
Well, I think it's beautiful how you're taking something that you struggled with and now you're using that empathy. You're encouraging others that are going through a similar challenge, and having your daughter and sister that struggled with it. I mean, who better to support them than you? You know, because
And
you've
yeah,
gone through it.
yeah. And my wife, we had talked earlier, and I was sharing with you that she then went to University of Florida,
Hmm.
got certified in dyslexia, screening, and so it's like it's kind of a family thing.
Yeah, it's kind of a
we're
thing.
we are like really invested in that topic, and even when we were job shopping around, she was like, well, what do they do for students with dyslexia? And she was looking into the states, and what do they have to offer as far as helping students with that. So it's important to us. So
Absolutely. No, that's wonderful. That's really cool that you guys are doing it as a family too. So that's amazing. Thanks for sharing that.
yeah, no problem.
And as the superintendent over the elementary, middle school, and high school, what have you noticed that's supporting your students with their emotional and mental well-being? Or where have you noticed, whoa, there's a big gap? Like students, we need to support our kids even more, just like every district.
Yeah, yeah. And we're seeing that since the COVID times, we're seeing a huge disparity in that. Um, I'm going to back up a little bit. When I was in South Dakota, we did not have counselors. I mean, we had a career, we were a small district. We had a career counselor that helped
Mm-hmm.
with, college and all that stuff. But we didn't have like the social emotional
Mm-hmm.
um, counselors
Mm-hmm.
have now. Like the district I'm in now, I have two counselors at my middle school, high school. I've got a counselor at the elementary, so that's great. But I think what's important for leaders in any organization, whether it's a school, business, whatever, is create some networks. So I'm the biggest uh, thing that was a highlight in my career in South Dakota is
Mm-hmm.
we had a facility in our town that worked with social emotional issues, and I mean like a actual psychiatry and psychologist. It was small, and they had a vast area, but creating that network, that relationship with someone like that is vital. Reach out, see what they can do, how they can assist your organization, whatever that may be, making those relationships and making those connections is key to any leader. Um, so that is a success story I just want to recall back from South Dakota. So I'm fortunate here though that I have actual counselors that are, checking in with the students
Hmm.
and sharing things that they're hearing and seeing, and that's good. What I would love to see is recreate that a relationship with a social emotional expert, because our school or our school counselors are not necessarily versed in what some students need. I mean, they're about, like your elementary counselors are about friendship groups and creating those relationships, and high school, middle school kids that are struggling emotionally, hey, let's talk these things out. But there are more severe issues that I'm seeing,
Hmm.
not necessarily here, but across the nation. There are more
Hmm.
severe issues that need to be addressed, and schools don't have that power, the know-how to make those positive changes, I guess.
See, and that I really appreciate you saying that and respect that a lot, because I feel like the strongest and wisest leaders like yourself see the gap and see we're doing well, we're doing everything we can, but our kids need more. And there's some really severe struggles that are here. And all the data shows that
Mhm.
it's been, and for anyone that's watching this, it's not 2020. It's March 26, 2024. But what Stephen is saying is so true that since the pandemic, it's just put a huge magnifying glass on the severity of what's going on inside kids, right? They're struggling with all kinds of severe anxiety, depression, and it's getting even down into elementary school where kids are starting to question their life and they're actually acting on it. So this is near and dear to my heart because I was one of those kids.
Yeah.
And but thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that strong leadership on your
Mhm.
side to
Well, I
see.
appreciate that.
Yeah, no, true. And if there are any anything that's on your heart that if you thought, man, why didn't this dude ask me this? Michael, come on. So if there's on your heart that you just want to share with whoever's watching, maybe it's admin, maybe it's a parent, maybe a teacher or a
um, I guess for me, just what I've seen in the last few years is I want to get back to school.
student.
I want my teachers to just be able to teach
Mm,
in the curriculum or in the areas of their whatever they're passionate about, um, and just be teachers and teach the reading and the math and uh, those things. So in my mind, I don't know what that answer is. I mean, I want people to um, understand that we're doing the best I can. I tell my teachers in my community, hands down, being a teacher is, in my opinion, just my opinion, is the best career ever. Because you create those powerful relationships with students, and it's so good. And if you listen to the news or you listen to the tone on education in the nation is not always positive, and that's unfortunate because so much positive occurs in it. And I'm so thankful for my teachers, my counselors, my board. It's a very positive place to be. So I'm very happy. Um, I just would like to shed light on, I guess, how awesome education is, and the people behind the scenes, or the teachers that you see day to day. They're doing awesome stuff. So that's the message I want to relay. That education is pretty awesome right now.
thank you so much, Stephen, for sharing your heart, sharing your wisdom, and just for sharing your encouragement. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for being inviting me to be part of this. I appreciate it.